2, 3. Okay. The gremlins of live TV every day plague me. But you know what? I'm just happy to be with you guys all here every single day. So a big thank you for that. I hope everybody's doing well. And I missed you. And it's another fantastic day. I've got a lot of stuff to cover. Sorry for the dust at the beginning, but let's just jump right in. Math, money, freedom. None of this is investment advice. It's edutainment. And thank you for waiting a minute while we fixed the sound. So let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin. Obviously, the elephant in the room. We hit the highest level since the 18th of May, or 79 days ago. And for many of you, you may have heard me talking about this 42,500 level. It's critical to get above that. We snuck above it about a week ago, and it failed immediately. Now we're above it, and we are holding tight. Just looking at the exact numbers, we are literally $145 above my critical level. So fingers crossed, it looks like it's stabilizing there, which is good because that's going to flip into support once it happens. So that's the beginning of the good news today. Now, what was really weird is, for some reason, gold is selling off. You guys may remember this chart from last week. I said in 2012, it was 120 Bitcoin per ounce. In 2016, it was 2 Bitcoin per ounce of gold, which is 31 grams. In 2020, 0.32, a third of a Bitcoin per ounce. Last week was 0.046. Guess what it is today? Between gold going down in value and Bitcoin going up in value, that has now become 0.041 Bitcoins per ounce of gold. So this gold as a hedge thing that I've been warning since January is not working very well. We are down 11% in a week. So imagine plowing, and that's denominated in fiat dollars, which is debasing at 15%. So it's like, anyway, sorry for all those who hold gold. I can't believe, considering the quantitative easing, that we're still so low. So anyway, enough on gold. And speaking of that, just a quick refresher for everybody. Sats per dollar. It's now 2,339 Satoshis per US dollar. Can anybody hazard a guess in the comments where it's going to be by the end of the year? And maybe a little prize for somebody who figures that out. So it's quite incredible. But it's always good to wrap our heads around exactly where this whole thing is going. Now, let's talk a little bit about something. This is the time now. So a lot of the people that didn't get into Bitcoin, many of them still didn't become believers. And I was trying to figure out why. Why do people have such a hard time getting on the Bitcoin train? So I found this article, modified it slightly, and these are what's called Bitcoin entry phases. And that might help. I did a video on how to get your loved one to wrap their heads around Bitcoin, but this goes deeper into the psychology of the phases of how people wrap, their heads and become very passionate about it. So first of all, the first stage is disbelief. And some people even make fun of Bitcoin. I had so many people telling me to sell at 10,000. I had so many people telling me to sell at 20,000, and on, like clever people saying, just lock in your profits, go, move. Anyway, that's the disbelief stage, and people make fun of you. The second stage is discovery. This is when the penny begins to drop, and you begin to realize that this whole Bitcoin thing is bigger than yourself, and it's worth taking a deeper look at. The third stage is conviction. This is where you start looking into things like your money, your bank relationship, inflation, money printing, technology, and all the other elements of it. And then the fourth stage is understanding. And this is basically, if you're like me, it's when you sell everything to buy Bitcoin last year. And you go full bore and conviction. And that's when you see everything come together. So this is good for those who are still sending us messages saying, hey, how can I convince my wife, my husband, my grandfather? In fact, I had so many stories this week of people's grandparents, people in their 70s and 80s, jumping on and jumping into Bitcoin hard because now they see exactly what's going on. So I thought that would be a helpful tool. Now let's talk about Bitcoin hitting new highs. This is an article from Forbes that came out today. And I would swear, I'm always a little bit paranoid, but I would swear a good comment there, 5,000 sats per USD end of year. I like that. But I would swear that Forbes is looking at my videos, because I've been talking about that 42,500 level. They came out with an article where they said $42,465, which is kind of the support, which could happen tomorrow as bullish development. And then the other thing they said is that basically there is the next set of resistance is at 51,000. I said it's clear skies to 50,000. So I thought that was very funny. So Forbes is bullish and that we are going to go higher pretty soon. And what's really interesting is, before I get into the little bad news, starting with the good news straight because it's such a good day. This is for all the Spanish and Europeans out there. Eviva España, they implemented a new bill, they proposed a new bill, which in Spain, which will allow homeowners to do things like pay their mortgages with cryptocurrency. Also enable real estate companies to use crypto funds, investment funds, and list assets denominated in crypto and use crypto assets to purchase mortgages. Now, this is a draft law, so we don't know exactly how far it's going to go. But there's a big belief that this could take us a lot further into different uses for the blockchain, way beyond just real estate, but healthcare and other types of financial services, insurance, fund disbursements, etc. So that was really good. And the reason I'm mentioning Spain and this big development on top of Uruguay the other day and everything else and all the great work that Kazakhstan is doing is things are changing. Sadly, well, before I get to sadly, many see Bitcoin as a life raft. This is a quick one of how Bitcoin adoption new addresses have tripled in a year. But the real key thing here that is beyond this, when this was discussed recently with Stan Druckenmiller, one of the best investors of our time, somebody said to him in a conversation loosely, they said, do you know that when Bitcoin went from $17,000 to $3,000, basically in March, 86% of the people that owned Bitcoin at $17,000 never sold it. So when we talk about the hodler culture, the people that are in it for the long term, that's a stunning stat. And I just came across that today by reading about this Druckenmiller interview. And his response was super interesting. He said, that is huge in my mind. I like that word, huge. So here's something with a finite supply, and 86% of the owners are religious zealots. The accumulation is going parabolic. People are catching on. This is so early, everybody, and the early adopters are jumping in, and everybody wants a life raft. And so we stuck a little life ring on that map. So again, nothing but goodness. Now let's talk a little bit about Ethereum, because Ethereum is going crazy. A lot of people thought Ethereum would tank, to below $2,400 once EIP 1559 was launched. That's not the case. What I looked at today was some Ethereum options activity over the next 12 months, and they were completely bonkers. There's a ton of people buying a ton of bullish options, call options. These are the green lines here on the chart, going way out into the future at extremely high strike prices. We're talking $50,000 strikes, $40,000 strikes for March of next year. Now, there was one trade actually was very interesting. Somebody got into a big bull call spread, and this is where you buy a position and then you sell an out of the money position. But in this case, they were both out of the money. So somebody bought a whole bunch of $40,000 calls for March 2022 for Ethereum. 40,000. Okay, we're not even at 3,000 yet. And then they sold the $50,000 calls to get some money back. So that's an incredibly bullish bull call spread. So whoever did this, they see 50,000 as the top, but 40,000 being achievable. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. That is staggering. Now, I said to somebody earlier in the week, they asked, where do you see Bitcoin going next? Can I get in at 2,000 or 1,800 again? I said, no, it's going straight to 3,000. And it looks like we are knocking on 3,000's door pretty quickly. In fact, Ethereum is about to bust through 2,900 again. It went up to 2,948 today, and it's taking another run. So whenever I do these live ones, I think it's the good juju from everybody in the audience. So just keep your fingers crossed and bring goodwill, and it should punch back through 2,900. But the Ethereum news is not over. So a little bit of burning math for those Burning Man fans out there. It's a California thing if you ever missed it. So EIP 1559 today has burned 4,600 ETH in the last 24 hours. People think, wow, it's deflationary, but no, it's not. So it's not deflationary yet. Miners still get about 13,000 ETH a day, 12,700 approximately. And this means that they have reduced the inflation amount by about 36%, which is staggering and super helpful. And that's going to help a lot more bullishness because, more than a third of the supply has now been taken off. So it's not deflationary yet. It will be after ETH 2.0. Now for some sad news. Everybody's freaking out by regulations. And we have Janet Yellen again. I know we have a lot of Janet Yellen fans in the audience. I never say anything bad. She's a wonderful lady, I assume. But she is yelling at people. And she's working behind closed doors to crush any opposition to the new US bill. That is basically trying to be a backdoor to make it very difficult for Bitcoin and crypto development to happen in the US. And that's why I started with Spain earlier on, because it really is very important for the future. But the politicians that are in house, like for example, I always said President Biden, he, during his whole political career, lived in a place called Delaware, which is the same state where all of the credit card companies, a lot of financial services companies are based because of tax reasons. And they sponsored him his entire political career. So he's looking out for the banks. Janet is looking out for the banks. They want to preserve everything that they have. And it's kind of scary. But Brian Armstrong, the Coinbase CEO, and Coinbase is doing very well, by the way, he said issuing more 1099s is a great idea. He's got no problem with that. And people don't have problems with paying taxes on crypto gains above 10,000 or transfers above 10,000. That's not the problem. The problem is the bill's definition of brokers would appear to include miners and developers, and that just makes no sense. And people are trying to change that right now. This would drive a lot of development outside the US, and it would hurt the adoption of cryptocurrency in the US, but it's still not the kiss of death. Okay, so I know people are freaking out saying, oh, they're going to ban Bitcoin, but I've got a whole bunch more information that'll prove to you it will not happen. So let's jump a little further. Let's talk about Charles Hoskins. Yay, for all the Cardano fans. So look at me showing Charles some love. He came out, and a big thank you to Sanjay, who shared this with me. I don't watch Charles's videos, but I did watch this, and I really liked what he said. And this quote is from him. Crypto threatens the very pillars of state and economic hegemony, returning power to the people. It is thus no surprise that the White House supports a bill that would cripple progress in this industry in order to placate the overlords. I found that to be super eloquent, extremely well put, Mr. Hodgkinson. Big thumbs up there. And again, love what you're doing in Africa and emerging countries. But I thought that was extremely poignant and true. And hopefully the good will prevail and fight this. But look what happens when you try and ban Bitcoin. This is what I call Bitcoin. Come at me, bro. So Nigeria has moved $40 million in peer-to-peer trading in the last 30 days. So $40 million might not be a lot of money in downtown Manhattan, but in Nigeria, that's a big amount of peer-to-peer transactions. And this is what happens when you try and ban Bitcoin. And this is why Nigeria could be the first truly Bitcoinized nation on Earth. So you can't kill it. As I say, you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. Let's talk a little bit more about the market. So the crypto market seems to be very unfazed. Despite all this fear and regulation and people saying, red alert, the sky's going to fall, we're all going to die. The market is hitting, 3-month highs. So that's another piece of good news. It will hurt if it does go through, but legislation gets issued and then bills get amended and adjusted over time. It's give and take. The only slight concern I have is both parties are very supportive of this, which I'm surprised about the Republicans. I'm not a political guy. I don't take either side, but normally the Republicans don't like spending money. They like cutting taxes and cutting programs. But anyway, we'll see what happens. So let's talk a little bit more about regulation and Binance again. So this is Brian Brooks. He was hired, I believe, by CZ from Binance to solve the North American regulatory issues because of his background. He quit today or was pushed out. He obviously either uncovered something or said, this is an impossible job, or I have no influence, no impact, no nothing. I'm out. So another Binance news, another knock to Binance going forward. Now let's talk a little bit about Good news again, back to mining, and you've heard me talk about Bitcoin mining and banging the table on HUt8, Galaxy Digital, the last couple of weeks, and now even Marathon. So would you believe that Bitcoin mining generates just as much revenue as the age-old pursuit of unearthing gold and silver ore from the ground? That's right, everybody. It's kind of crazy, but never before has Bitcoin mining become so profitable. Thank you, China. The Chinese pulling out, lowering hash rate, the huge domination and growth of North American miners and other miners all over the world has become a huge boon to the industry. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, it's good for them. It's good for the stock. I think HUt8 was up 11% today, and Marathon the same, and all the other miners are on fire. They are producing crazy amounts of coin. Just to put things in perspective as well, HUt8 is on fire. They now have 4,123 Bitcoin in their balance sheet. But it gets better. They are pumping out 9.7, call it 10 Bitcoin a day. They created a ton in July. And, you can do the math. 10 a day, 30 days a month. That's 300 Bitcoins a month times a future value of $100,000. That is an extremely lucrative mining operation, everybody. And so good job. And a lot of the North American miners as well. So with a lot of the North American miners just being on fire, I think it's great. And I hope they can all band together and do a better job of lobbying the politicians and educating them, because the politicians, when I look at some of them, some of them are like 78 years of age, and there's nothing wrong with being that age, but they don't have, as Michael Saylor says, that 1,000 hours to study what this is all about and how it's going to transform everything and how it's going to make banking, financial services better, fairer, more efficient. It's going to help people get out of poverty. So why kill that? As Charles put it, of course they're going to kill it. It's got to protect the overlords, which is really scary. I feel like I'm in a Star Wars episode or something. Anyhow, moving on, Chainlink, another great news. Chainlink, as you know, is one of my top fives. They introduced a thing to support cross-chain interoperability protocol, CCIP. It almost sounds like CCCP. Who remembers that back in the day? Anyway, this is an open source standard that will help smart contracts interoperate across blockchains. And that's going to be one of the most important things for the future, is that interoperability of chains and parachains, and groups like Polkadot are doing a lot of work in this area as well, and they were also on fire today. So really good work there. And a quick stock market update. I know a lot of you have a lot of money in the stock market as well. I just want to share a couple of little notes that came in. So obviously many Americans struggled through the pandemic and lockdowns. I think looking at the numbers, the average payment out to families earning under $150,000 was about $12,000 of federal stimulus over the last year. And that is kind of crazy. But some of the key numbers here is the Fed's balance sheet grew 90.7% over the last 16 months, over nearly $4 trillion. And that is crazy. That's basically since April of 2020. And the Democrats continue to hand out, and I'm not Republican or Democrat, everybody, just this is not political, but they want to continue to hand out and defer payments and for students and student loans and give people money and all that type of stuff, which is good, but that will involve a lot of money printing. So again, anybody who gets stimulus checks, I can't remember the exact numbers exactly, but a lot of people put them directly into Bitcoin and did very well, and other crypto assets. Now, the US stock market is up 44.4%, which I love. I love my fours sometimes, although in China it means death, over the past year to 16.3 trillion. Now, the interesting thing about that 16.3 trillion of total market capitalization of US stocks is the top 5 companies make up 9 trillion of that 16 trillion. It's Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, which is Google, and Facebook. So 9/16 is made up of 5 companies. And these big companies have very, very lofty valuations. And the average price to earnings ratio is up at 66.5. So when I was a young man, anything over 20 as a PE ratio is considered overvalued. Now we're up at 66.5. So needless to say, bubble territory, maybe a little bit. We'll see. I do expect maybe some softness driven by some external catalysts, but we'll see what happens. And Cathie, she's sticking to her conviction, disruptive stocks, all things Tesla, and other cool names as well. So, Cathie, we love you. Go, Cathie. So with that, I just want to give a quick update, talk about the market and say, hey guys, everything is great. Everything is fine. And hope the sound is still working. So I'm going to open this up to some Q&A. And let me see. We have hopefully a lot of questions. Let me do some shout outs right now first. A big thank you to K8 who's helping me behind the scenes. A shout out to the people who donated. Margie K, thank you so much. Yorkie Gaming, Thomas Polos, PKG Man, Thrift Store Theater, Barmy Deer, Ride Beside Cliff Stinson, Crypto Rose, Minaxi P, Porphyogenitus, Glennis Diaz, Serendipity, Shankar Sankey, Del. This is incredible. You guys are incredible. So we'll be able to sponsor hopefully some really good things. Big demand for parrots now as well and other types of things. So big thank you. Let me jump to the top of the list. Leo K, MicroStrategy to 810. Let's have a quick look. I was looking at them trying to breach 750 earlier today. I haven't looked at MicroStrategy before the close. I was busy putting this stuff together. But yeah, people were asking me if I was going to short MicroStrategy again. I said, no. This it's like shorting Bitcoin is like jumping in front of a train. Don't want to do that, especially not now. So yeah, MicroStrategy has been on fire. It's hard to believe that you could have got MicroStrategy at $600 on Monday. So it's up at 750. So market is crazy. And now you see why I love MicroStrategy. It's the gift that keeps on giving. So Mr. Sailor, we love you. Let me see. JR, I know you mentioned dumpster diving yesterday. I'm too far down in the dumpster. I guess everything depends on tomorrow's vote anyway. It doesn't really, but the further you go out into the risk profiles of some of these altcoins, the scarier the tokenomics is. And I get 25 requests a day. What do you think of Telcoin? What do you think of this and this? And now we're getting much quicker at deciphering we know exactly what to look at, how to crunch numbers and ratios to determine if there is any upside at all. AMP is one of those that may not be too bad. Same with Theta. Somebody promised me cookies, vegan cookies, if I look at Theta. And we are looking into some of those. So we're trying to develop a complete quant-based profiling system to say yes or no to certain types of cryptos. So hopefully my vision is to have this big spreadsheet of maybe the top 200 or top 100 at least with ratios, with a heat map across my 10 different parameters and saying, yep, nope. And then tie that back to a chart and identify good entry points if there is such a thing. But right now, the safest bets are Ethereum and Bitcoin. That's always been my view. And it's become even more staunch now, despite some of the recent stuff. So Brent Ray, I challenge viewers to give $5 for the animals. Happy Friday. Hey Brent, thank you so much. You were so cool. And we'll see what we can do this weekend. Dale Roth, HUt8 versus other miners. I like HUt8. I like their conviction. They promise never to sell any Bitcoin, kind of like Michael Saylor. So with that, I still like HUt8. But you need to really dig in. So I've created these arbitrage models that look at the actual intrinsic value of the Bitcoin that they hold, or Bitcoin and Ethereum, depending on the miner, and how much other value is that they have, how much they're producing a day, what their exahash rate is. And I'm working on a refined miner analysis to help you guys identify. But things like Marathon are going to $50. They probably get there pretty quick. My target for HUt8 was $10. It's getting there really quick as well. So we'll see. But stay tuned, Dale, for an updated model. Craig Parkin. Right, politicians offering to donate only with Bitcoin. Exactly. There was a very interesting thing I saw today. Somebody said, hey, by the way, people under 40 are into crypto. Anybody that signs this bill, these voters of the future will remember. And that's what they need to think about, not think short term. So, yeah, it's funny. I normally not into politics or anything else, but I've been peppered 100 times today to push stuff out to people. Gavin24, challenge accepted. Thank you. Caligula. How are you, buddy? The first lesson of economics is scarcity. That was my thesis from day one. And in 2017, when I started, I was like, huh? Absolutely scarce? And people are losing them all the time, so it's absolutely deflationary. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Okay. There is never enough of anything to satisfy all those who want it. The first lesson of politics is to disregard the first lesson of economics. I like that. I heard that a long time ago, but thank you for the refresher. Great one, Caligula. Bal Sahura, E-Rock James, thank you for your wisdom and compassion. Crypto will change the world. Yes, it will. And crypto and decentralization and tokenomics, and it gives everybody a chance. So it means the overlords, as Charles calls them, will start to lose their grasp on power, which is better for the world, and it'll make the world a better place. Bomb Biggie, you are always here. You are like like a fixture. Thank you. Thinking of swapping half a Bitcoin for ETH. What do you think? ETH will run faster. We're already seeing that just over the last couple of days, no doubt in my mind. So we're still knocking on that $28.95. $5. Got to get through 2,900 before I stop talking today. In fact, I'm not going to stop talking till we go to 2,900. And that's my commitment to you guys. So, yeah, ETH will run faster. Now, historically, I've analyzed the typical ratio of growth. So if, say, Bitcoin goes up 50%, Ethereum will go up 70%. So it's always in that ratio. You could do that, but there are always, when you go out the risk curve, there's more risk of holding Ethereum. Ethereum has a lot of competitors coming after it, and there's still a lot of unknowns regarding ETH 2.0 in 2022, and moving from proof of work to proof of stake. Who knows? There's a very small chance, but there might be a minor revolution or something else. So we're doing well so far. Looking at the call options today, blew my mind completely. So that was quite exceptional that people are making bets for Ethereum to be at $50,000 by early next year. March. Remember March. You'll hear me talking about March a lot over the next few months. But March is a critical date as well. That's when the lockup opens up for people that stake their Ethereum. So it could be, but make sure you get your timing right. So be careful. Black Crypto Walker sold out of my AMC Lucid today. Ooh, good man. You're getting out of garbage and hopefully you're moving into quality. For a 2.7K with an AK for crypto. Where would you put AK for the fastest growth upside besides Bitcoin ETH to make up losses? Yeah, right now I can't give investment advice, but what I'm doing is I'm sitting on a lot of cash, and I think my penultimate slide talked about how bubbly the market's looking to me. In my brain, I'm always thinking S&P 4,500 as a top. So don't just think crypto, but there are other options as well. There could be a dip coming. So if this regulation does get passed and people go up in arms and the media starts flooding everybody and frightening them, it could bring about some short-term selling pressure before the big Wall Street banks come in and buy all your crypto. And that could be a buying opportunity. So I'd say layer into some of the safe names. I like safe names, Chainlink, Solana, Aave, Ethereum, Bitcoin. They're my top 5 really, really safe bets. And also keep an eye on some of the equities that could take a big dip sometime over the next 6 to 8 weeks. So stay tuned for that. Chatsar, do you have any thoughts on BitTorrent? No, I don't actually. I know some people are speculating on it, but it's not one that I follow. It's too small, too risky, and it has a bad reputation from the past, from the old torrent days of people doing stuff. So be very careful with that. Aaron Sexton, should I take a big loss and roll my remaining Doge to Bitcoin? Oh no, not a Doge holder. I haven't looked at Doge for a while. Let me do a refresh. Is it above 20 cents yet? It is 20.6. Ever since Elon Musk stopped pumping Doge, it's been very, very weak. And I don't know if he's ever coming back. He got his butt handed to him by some of his shenanigans on from playing with Doge and the stock market and on Twitter and stuff. So, but that being said, I did hear from somebody that sometimes he smokes this strange stuff and makes him a little crazy late on Saturday nights, and who knows, he might smoke some of that stuff and go crazy on Twitter and pump Doge again. And you might get back to 30, 40 cents. So it's hard to say, but I would never hold anything like Doge or AMC or GameStop because the long-term future is not good. So I hope that helps you with your decision making. Maybe take half of what you have left and stick it somewhere on any weakness or dip over the weekend. Sometimes we can get a crypto dip at the weekend with low volume, but last weekend was quite strong. Victor, why buy companies like HUt8, MicroStrategy, etc., as opposed to putting the money in Bitcoin? Exactly. I always say the same thing. If you can buy the pure form, always buy the pure form. Don't mess with other types of proxies unless they are extremely volatile, like MicroStrategy, and that's why I love MicroStrategy. And if you can play options on those, you'll see. And Victor, what are the benefits of Patreon? It's nearly full. We've capped it, so I don't know. But I did do a video on what InvestHance's Patreon is about a month ago. So check my list of videos and you'll see it there. Dave Pulitzer, Snacks for Hope, thank you so much. James, do you still like ZIL? I do like ZIL, but when I did the analysis, it came up okay. However, I got into a very, very small position that I bought with a credit card through a very convoluted process. I spent $500 and I did it just to learn the way of getting through. And it's not that easy for many to buy. But I have a very small position, but I would not make it part of my portfolio. So, but I did nibble, and let's check out exactly what ZIL is doing right now. And I know it's been doing okay, but let me see. Oh, it's been doing very well actually. It's that $500 I have is probably nearly 1,000 now. Wow. Okay, I need to check on that. I have it stored online, but yeah, I wouldn't there's so much other good stuff out there. I wouldn't press too much on ZIL. ZIL is there with Nano for me. It's one of those things where I reviewed, they look good, they're novel, but they're not going to take over the world. Let me see. Charles Kincannon, DC into HUT or wait? I think HUT right now at its current price is overvalued, but if you take into account the amount of crypto Bitcoin they're mining per day at 10 a day, and you forecast that out, and with their additional rigs they're going to install, it becomes very attractive. But try wait for a little bit of a weakness. I wouldn't go chasing now, but right now, if I was looking at the premium this morning, and it's trading at about 45 to 50% premium based on its intrinsic value today. And that's assuming they have 5,000 Bitcoin in the balance sheet by the end of the year. I'll update those models and share it as well on Patreon as well. Brent Rea, James said I'm cool. Yeah, thanks, Brent. You are very cool. Bob Biggie. Regulation is inevitable. Here is the Netherlands. They are already talking about it. So feel for US. Yeah, as I say, there's going to be three worlds in the future, and they're going to be driven by where they align on the future. There's going to be the digital one out of China, which is going to be all about kind of command and control. Then you're going to have the US desperate to hold on to being the world's reserve currency with their federal dollar, Fed coin, whatever you want to call it in the future. And then there's going to be the crypto world. And I think those countries that really embrace crypto will be very, very strong. You're already seeing the huge benefits within El Salvador right now. People are happy. Commerce is exploding. Property value is going through the roof. People are voting with their feet. People packing up their bags and, giving up their U.S. residency and moving to El Salvador. And I realize El Salvador has some problems, not perfect. But, that's what's going to happen in the future. When you can't kill this thing. And when you try, you make people more desperate, and then they do desperate things. It's like what California is doing. It's taxing everybody to death, and all the big money is just flooding out. You got your Larry Ellisons and your Elon Musks and all these people that paid huge amounts of taxes. They all fled, And that's what's going to happen. The people with the money will vote with their feet, and then the US will be left like, oh, what do we do? It's like China. China banning the miners. That was just such a stupid thing to do. And it's going to cost them trillions in the future. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. Sorry, everybody. Cthulhu Sleeps. I love that song. Great energy tonight, James. Yes. Coffee. Let's make some furry happy. That was not previously, not drinking advice, but have a lovely bourbon. I don't drink whiskey. If I'm feeling good, I will have some red wine. That's it. Maybe a beer. Greta Halderson, someone from Scandinavia. It's my friend Thomas's birthday. He's getting interested in Bitcoin, but I'm not sure he's gotten any. I want to give him some advice from a master. How would you nudge him down the rabbit hole? Well, Greta, it depends where you're based. Going by your name, it sounds like Scandinavia. Just look, tell your friend to look at the amount of money printing your banks are doing up there, and look at the cost of groceries, and say, hey, do you want to have some asset that's literally has gone up 200% per year over the last 10, 11 years, and it's already up 326% over the last 12 months. So that's what I tell them. It's like, get a piece. And there's a guy called Chamath Papataya. He calls it schmuck insurance, which is basically, if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, at least you have protection. And even just put $100 in there, $500, it'll make you feel better. The danger is that once you start, you can't stop. It's like the Pringles chips. So that's what I'd advise. Greta, thank you so much. Rodney Truhill, can't help thinking I should just put Bitcoin on hold for a little while, start buying a Tesla. No, so I did a detailed analysis. I have price prediction models for Tesla. And in fact, my price prediction models for Tesla, I came out about 3 or 4 weeks ahead of ARK Invest. And their price predictions almost perfectly matched mine in the 3 different scenarios. So it was uncanny. So I've got detailed price prediction models and details for Bitcoin and Tesla. And basically, Bitcoin wins all the time, with one exception. And that is the super bull case for Tesla. And if you match the super bull case for Tesla with the bear case for Bitcoin, Tesla wins. But that means robo-taxis are everywhere and their energy business takes off and they do solar roofs and everything else. So we'll see. But Bitcoin is the safest asymmetric bet of our lives. So thank you, Rodney. But everybody needs some Tesla. It's a good diversifier. Michael Gaiman, at what point do you determine founders of a token had too large a proportion of the total circulation? And is there a percentage used as a red flag? So again, Michael, I go back to thirds. Everything for me is numbers, and I have these templates that are scorched in my brain, and I take them everywhere I go. So if you take a business, and I used to work a lot with VCs back in the day, what they used to do is they'd break a company shares into 3/3. 1/3 would be for the founders and the core team. 1/3 would be for the venture capital investors, and 1/3 would be for the future employees, future investors, etc., etc. Now, if the ICO or token distribution isn't at least a third that way, I don't touch it. If the founders and the internal team and the internal investors have more than a third from themselves, that is a red flag out of the gate. And that's one of the key ratios that we look at. And there's some out there where literally I've seen some where 70 to 90% is for the internal insiders and investors. Some 50%. Check out the guy from Hex and try decipher how much he owns. He keeps it very secret, but I know it's a lot. Look at XRP. Once you start seeing these ratios, it's just not a good, as you say, it's a red flag. RRFF, what are your thoughts on Cody 100K TPS? I don't know Cody. Let me have a very quick look and see how big it is and see if I can decipher anything real quick. COTI. Excuse me 1 second. First of all, let me see. Yeah, I already don't like it. So it's too small and bad tokenomics and everything else. Be very careful. Don't dabble in Cody. Why? As I say, rifle around in the garbage can. And I got to thank Kiwi Robin for that phrase. He said, stop rifling in the garbage can for stuff. We have enough good stuff already. And remember, in the world, the biggest, most successful companies win. I just showed you a stat of the S&P 500. It's worth 16 trillion. Okay. 5 companies make up 9 trillion of that 16 trillion. So the big guys win all the time. Therefore, follow the big blue chips. The rest, you're just gambling. Let me see. Michael Brindley, Bitfarms and Marathon Digital. Goodbye, thanks. Yeah, I like Marathon. Bitfarms, I haven't dug into, but I heard it's also very, very good. So right now, again, the problem is they've run so much already. Like Marathon Digital, I think it shot up already. Bear with me 1 second. I have it here in my little cheat sheet. Because I do have a price target for about $49, $50 for Marathon. And it's already at 34. So it's run quite a bit. And if you look at the chart, it has just gone straight up. I mean, it's sad. This was $20 a few days ago. And now it's 35. So again, I have a discipline of not chasing things. I let them come to me. So wait for some weakness. Lay your traps, put in your trend lines, your support lines, and just be ready to pounce when they do fall back. Because this space is so volatile, and that's what makes it so brilliant. Thanks for donating, Eric, Contreras, Rodney Toohill, and David B. Appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. Everybody's so good today. Happy Friday, everybody. And stop super chatting. I need to. We got to find enough animals to sponsor as well. So, Christian B. I'm invested since 2017, unfortunately at the peak, but steadily investing in cryptos. Multi-Bitcoin now. Wow, well done. And good job keeping your last name secret. Thanks for being a voice of reason and compassion. Well done. Nidar Shanad Dakal, what are your thoughts on Matic? I like Matic. It's one of my top 10. The problem is it's the only sleeper I have right now. In terms of Matic itself, it is doing better. So I know it had a bit of a pop today. I still think it has a role. A lot of people thought, oh, well, with EIP 1559 coming out, it'll reduce the need for Polygon to exist. And there was also some FUD spread about some of the founders that they stole the software from China and things like that. So they had a little bit of bad press and they don't do a very good job of marketing themselves. But I do believe they have very powerful technology. They're building out a whole bunch of cool chains as well. So I'm still bullish. I think it's only a matter of time before it pops. And before Matic goes right back to, let me see. Pull up where it was before. Like $1.50, $2. And I've got a detailed price target on Matic. I'm still not selling, so I'm still holding tight. Hope that answers your question. Bookhorn, you guess percentage chance of Bitcoin ETF this year? Great question. And I think about this a lot, and I was reading some stuff about that earlier this morning. I reckon it's maybe with Gary Gensler, there was some stuff about futures, which will eliminate the need for an ETF because, you know, once a lot of more detailed, mature futures exist, big money center banks can kind of paper trade their way to owning de facto ETFs. So I'd say it's about 15% chance it'll be come this year. But Q1 of next year, I'd say it's 80% chance, and 5% chance will be Q2, Q3, 2022. That'd be my bet. I don't see it hitting this year. And also, you got to remember, we're nearly in September, which means you have 4 months left. So less than a third of the year. And it takes the SEC right now are so busy with other stuff. I mean, they're already investigating kind of Wild West DeFi players, and they're investigating XRP and a whole bunch of other stuff. So they're so busy. And I know Gary Gensler is going to Congress because he wants more people so he can do more investigations and build more regulations. So that's what I would say. It's not a priority for them right now. So in the meantime, enjoy MicroStrategy. Let me see. Where was I? Oh, that was Bookhorn. Okay. Kryptonian. Nice name. Paper money has been around for only a few hundred years. Crypto will be around forever. And it's the future. Iterations will be faster, stronger, better. Exactly. I mean, it's not just crypto. It's all things blockchain. Everything is going to be on the blockchain in the future. It's already happening. You know, there's countries across Europe now that want to put people's medical records on the blockchain and vaccine records on the blockchain and stuff like that. I think things like work references and academic scores and degrees and everything else, that should all be on the blockchain. It should, because, people lie about their education credentials and stuff, and even get into positions of, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and they say, oh, I went to this school, and then they find out, no, you didn't. So, yeah, immutable blockchain, I think it's going to be a big power. So yes, Kryptonian, totally agree. Brent C, would you consider reviewing Nexo? We are going to be doing Nexo and the FTX token and the CRR token as well. So that's coming. Thank you, Brent. Similar to Celsius, I've had a wonderful experience with them. I know Nexo is the number 2 as far as I'm concerned. From the feedback I've heard, I'm a Celsian. I don't have a Nexo account, but I know the Europeans that use Nexo are very happy. So yeah, we'll check that out. AP. Hey, James, any thoughts on VGX? Not the stock, but the token. We are digging into, just like the previous question. It's funny. Did you guys plan this? Nexo and VGX. We saw some red flags on the VGX token we don't like, and we'll be covering that in an upcoming video as well. I think there are better places to be. I think Voyager, though, is a good stock. The VGX token, not so good. And I will explain why in a future video. AP, any thoughts? Oh, I just covered that. I'm going blind. Thank you for a donation. Preppy Gal and Heather, you guys are so kind. And it's great to see so many females in the audience too. When I started this, I was like 97% male, and now it's 15% female. So we're making baby steps. It was 13% last month. Chad Smith, hey James, first live show. Welcome in Australia. Hope you got a big cup of coffee with you. Would you invest 3K now or wait and see the market dips? Currently hold the top. Yeah, as I say, I can't give investment advice, but I'm sitting on a lot of cash and I'm not jumping in. So last things I bought was Bitcoin at 38,000 the other day, Ethereum at 2,400. And that's it. I'm not buying any equities. And I'm starting to get into short positions. So just waiting and biding my time. Again, my discipline is not to chase. So if you really feel eager to jump on something, there's a few things that haven't pounced yet, even though I'm not a big Cardano fan. But when I look at the pairs of Cardano and Solana, Cardano is down 1% over the last 3 months and Solana's up 50%. And that tells me that there's a little bit of upside for Cardano. It's only a matter of time before it pops. So that could go, it's $1.38 right now. That could go to $3. Not financial advice. Polygon Matic needs to pounce, although it has moved quite a bit over the last couple of days. And also psychologically, it's nice to see, if you look at cryptos, say they're at 75, 80 cents and close to getting to that dollar mark. If you can get in at 80 cents, and once they get above the dollar, they run really fast, then you can make very, very good percentage returns real fast. So, Chad, do some homework, check out, see what's out there. There's a couple of sleepers that haven't bounced yet that may be worth a flutter, but they wouldn't be long-term holds as far as I'm concerned. And the safe bet as well is Bitcoin's going to $100,000. Not financial advice, of course. Ed, can you comment on the significance or insignificance of volume when analyzing Bitcoin price movements? Seems the current move is on low volume. Yeah, so volume is very, very important, especially for equities. But with crypto, you can't really see the volume because what you're looking at is kind of exchange reported volume. All the big buying is happening over the counter, so it's meaningless. It's not like in the stock market when you can see all the big blocks happening and you can see the buy walls and sell walls much clearer. Here you can't. So from that perspective, it's not a big indicator that I use. However, what I'd much rather do is look at the volume on exchanges, look at it dwindle, and then try to figure out exactly what the OTC activity is. And then you get a much better feel for exactly where the money is going. But right now, it's pretty easy to tell. OTC buys are happening, and that coin is going straight off the exchange. And the supply crunch is coming. Again, I don't know if it's a month from now or 2 years from now, but it's coming. And then it's going to go crazy. Jucifer's Jewels have a bunch of credit card debt, about 30K. Don't want to let go of any of my hard-earned crypto. Any suggestions? That is a sad thing, Jucifer, because if you have credit card debt, you could be paying anywhere from 19 to 26% if you're in the US, which is criminal. That's like a shark lender, whatever they call the gangsters that do short-term loans. two things I try and do is go to friends and family, try hold your crypto, go to friends and family and say, hey, can you help me out? And give them something as collateral to prove that you will come through and pay them back. And even offer them 5 or 10% interest, because they're not getting any money on their money right now in a bank. And there's a lot of people sitting on a lot of cash too. So they'd be helping out a family member. Second thing, if you have any collateral like a house, refinance it or pull a home equity line of credit out of it and then pay off. Nobody should be holding any credit card debt. My whole life, no matter how much I put in a credit card, it's auto deducted. Tick, click, click. Never carry credit card debt. Carry debt that's at a very low fixed rate, collateralized, yes, but not that. So, and then third plan maybe would be to borrow against your crypto. So if you had a Bitcoin, dump it into something like Celsius or Nexo, borrow against it, pay off that credit card debt. That should be your number one priority. JD, what is your estimate price target on VeChain for the cycle? 30 cents, maybe 33. And that is kind of my goal. So there was watching, somebody said to me in Discord that I think George said it was going to $1. I don't see VeChain going to $1, but 30 to 33 cents is a safe bet. Thanks for your donation as well. James Enaby and James Vasquez. We've got 2 Jameses at once. Wow, that's incredible. Preston, buddy, have you heard of Luxo? NFTs and metaverse project built by Fabian, who created the ERC20 token standard. I haven't. Let me have a very quick look at Luxo. See if anything pops out real quick. As I have this little crypto cheat sheet. That we can try find. Hang on. UK. So let me see if anything good pops out. Ooh dear. Yeah. Yeah. Tokenomics are horrible. You're going to get whacked. First blush is interesting guy. I know Fabian. I've read a little bit about him. But I don't know. There's going to be a ton of tokens dumped on the market, which will suppress price. So, and it's also very small. So it could be completely overvalued. I mean, when we look at some of these tokens now, I see a company very small worth $1 billion. It's like, how? So anyway, DC6, and hopefully we'll wrap up soon. What are your thoughts on RSR versus Dash? I don't look at either, I'm afraid. A lot of people are big fans of Dash. RSR I do not track at all. Let me check Dash real quick and refresh on my little cheat sheet. Dash actually is one of those. Again, really bad tokenomics as usual. It's very, very common when you start going outside the top 50, top 100. A lot more to be dumped, but the chart is looking good on Dash. The other one I don't know, so could be worth a flutter, but I still think it's much safer to stick with quality projects as well. Thank you as well for your donations, Sayad. You are too generous. Don't forget Sayad, glass of wine tonight. Doctor's orders. Carmar, Brent Rea, and Anthony D'Angelo. Timothy Lusky, and hopefully we'll wrap up now because I have an errand to run. I've got to pick up something and head to the Tesla shop. Timothy Lusky, ETH price target for the end of the year and next quarter, first year. $8,900. Not financial advice, but that was my very, very conservative projection that I put together back in December and again in January. I did an Ethereum video on Christmas Day, and I said, I have to do this video. Terrible lighting, terrible sound. And I smashed my hand on the table. I said, this is super cheap. And looking at the call options today, like that 8,900 seems extremely achievable. So, and if we get to 8,900, it means we get to 10,000. A lot of people are calling for 20,000, but I think a lot of it really depends on regulation, and so much that is just not certain right now. But I think 8,900 is a safe bet. And again, we're nearly at 3K. Let's see exactly if the juju actually worked, and if we got above that critical number. I have a funny feeling we didn't. Oh my God. Hold on a second. Are we $8 away? Yeah. No. It's so close. It just wants to run. So, yeah, I said I'd talk. Another $8. I'm going to watch that carefully. Thomas, a big fan of Solana. So am I. Have you looked at the Solana ecosystem and DeFi protocols? What's your opinion on SAM, BF, Serum Dex, and brokerage protocol Oxygen? I haven't looked at them, Thomas, in full disclosure. I could spend the rest of my life looking at all the stuff that's been built on Polkadot and Solana and everything else, and it just goes too deep. But I just rather just stick with the bigger players and not go too deep down. But I do, because I do have a big position in Solana, I will definitely dig into that, especially Oxygen. I did hear good things about Oxygen, but I'm no expert in that by any stretch of the imagination. Franz, I just heard you say you're not a big ADA fan. I was curious, why not? I've covered this many times. I think there are faster horses. I like Charles. I liked what he said today about politicians. I like what he's doing in Africa. But I haven't seen anything come out of his platform. I know there's big expectations for Alonso in September, but I don't know if it's going to be as good, as smart, as fast, as usable, with as many dApps and partners as other players in the space that they're competing against. My bet in that space is Solana, and it has been since day one. Anybody's listened to me since I started this in January, banging the table. I did a bake-off between Ethereum and Cardano, and I said Ethereum wins hands down. And then, Solana is just... It just has more of everything. And the thing that really scares me the most about Cardano, it already has an extremely high valuation without ever delivering anything. So it's just strange. So not that I'm not a fan, I just believe there's a better place to park your money. So I hope that answers the question, friends. Don Ragnar, what do you not like about One's tokenomics? Harmony One, it's really bad. It's shocking. And it's a classic example of what I covered earlier, of how the insiders and executives and investors lined their pockets. In fact, let me give you an example, because I do have a spreadsheet on that. Crowd. Now I won't be able to find it. Sorry, too many files. But yeah, good. Look at it yourself. Look at the background. It's just not good at all. When you have that type of unfair distribution, and Bitcoin has the fairest distribution, it's just not going to last well over time. Let me see. Let's wrap up here, because I really have to go. Thank you so much for all the super chats and contributions. Let me see. Eric Killmonger, what are your thoughts about MakerDAO and Stellar Lumens? So Stellar, I don't like. Again, tokenomics are horrible, and the team comes from XRP, and I don't trust the XRP guys. But MakerDAO is okay. Not something I own, but if I had to pick between the two of them, it would definitely be MakerDAO. But MakerDAO is not part of my stable right now. Oh, wow. Howard, I hope I'm reading that clearer. That's unbelievable if it is. Absolutely mind blown. And now we've got a huge problem, because we don't know if we can find enough animals. So Pulva117, have I by chance had a chat with Chili's yet? Yes, had a little bit of a dig into Chili's. It's purely speculative, has some red flags. I don't know how good it'll be long term. We got into a little position in the retire on crypto portfolio. And with that, let me see if it's moved up. It's like 25 cents. Oh, it has taken a little bit of a bounce. So over the last couple of days, it went up nice. Oh, it hit nearly 29 cents today. So yeah, the reason we like Chili's, it seems to be the leader in that whole area of sports and community and entertainment. People like Raoul Pal, although he hasn't specifically said it, his Real Vision group are very bullish on that total space and everything else. So, from Brent Rea, the animal should be named Howard. Okay, we will do that. We'll find somebody. We'll make them call Howard. We do know the place to call to do that as well. So Pulver 117. Yes, Chili's we've looked at. We've dabbled. This is one thing as well that I think my personal position would be to sell at 80 cents. if it does get that high. And it can get there very quickly. It was there only a couple of months ago. So we'll see. MicroStrategy going to 850 or 900 soon. Sure is. It's tied directly to Bitcoin. And we're still sticking. If I look at Bitcoin right now, we're $91 above that level, which used to be resistance. We need to flip that into support. So as long as we can keep above that, things will be great. If we do fall below 42,500 again, could go straight back to that whole 38,000 level where we were bounced for 3 days last week, or this week, I should say. Like clockwork, it's like a ping pong ball. 38,000, 38,000, 38,000, 38,000. Like it did it 7 or 8 times. It was uncanny because all the buyers are coming in at 38,000. So if anybody sees Bitcoin at 38,000, you know to back up the truck. Not investment advice, of course, at all. And hopefully that is a wrap. And thank you guys, especially Brent. That's unbelievable. For Howard, I'm still stunned. All right. Ali K, any thoughts on Luxo? Did I just cover Luxo? Yes, I respond to that. It looks like the tokenomics aren't very good, but the chart looks okay, and the founding member is very good, and that's all I can tell you, Ali K, right now. And hopefully that's a wrap. Please stop sending in super chats because I really have to get out of here and go pick up a car. So. Any final questions? John J, I just see that there. I don't know if Kate's still there, but okay, time to go. Linda Schuster, MicroStrategy going to 850 or 900 soon. It's hard. It all depends on Bitcoin. 850 was kind of where it was before. And Bitcoin is looking incredibly strong. Again, we've got to keep Bitcoin above that 42,500 level through this weekend. If we can bounce off that 42.5 a number of times, that's an extremely bullish sign. We're going to 50,000. Once Bitcoin goes to 50,000, then MicroStrategy should be back at 850. That would be what I would say. 900 is when MicroStrategy starts getting really, really overvalued. But it all depends on who's buying. So if hedge funds want exposure to Bitcoin, they're going to come in, they're going to buy MicroStrategy, and the float is kind of thin. And that's why you can see extreme pumps in MicroStrategy. For example, over the last, let me pull this up, just this last week, I mean, we had $70, $80 days, $50 days all the time on MicroStrategy. Today was a $35 day. I guess just a violent beast. Yeah, and the volatility is great, especially if you're selling options against long positions. And people in Patreon will know when I do that because I'll publish it in real time. So Charrock79, ETH was over 2,900 like 20 minutes ago. Take a breath. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at other things. So I did say I would talk till Ethereum went above 2,900. So thank you for that. There's too much stuff coming in. That's going to be a wrap, everybody, unless any final questions. But really, thank you so much for all the super chats. I'm going to look at the ETH chart. Say thanks. Yeah. Brent, Howard, thanks, and time to go, everybody. I really got to go. As Sherrock said, I need to take a breath. And it's just a super exciting day, and I'm so happy to be spending it here with you all. And let me see. Bitcoin or Ethereum is down again, under 2,900. It did spike though. Yeah. Let me see. Good. Okay. Big thank you again to Howard, Brent, and everybody who made contributions, and everybody be safe, and we'll talk soon. Okay? Have a great weekend. Happy Friday.